Hello BookTube, my name is Juan, I am just one reader, your favorite Mexican booktuber, and today I am just so excited I can barely fit in my own body. This is a video that I've been cooking in my mind for 3 years or something. It's a long time coming. It's been a long time coming. I am finally ready to share with you my spoiler-free review, although more than a review, it's more of a recommendation video for Robin Hobb's The Complete Realm of the Elderlings. 16 books in the series. I finally finished the series and I am here with my review recommendation. No spoilers at all. I'm gonna briefly tell you what I loved about this series, what I think are the shortcomings of the series, and basically what I recommend you to do if you decide, and you should decide, to read this series. I am so excited. I am using my special Harry Potter coffee mug, which I got from the Strand bookstore in New York, and I am drinking probably the best coffee that you can get in all of Mexico. So this is a very special occasion. Let's do it. So let's start at the very beginning. Let's start at the very beginning. A very good place to start. What is The Realm of the Elderlings by Robin Hobb? Well, in a nutshell, it is a series of fantasy novels that take place in the realm of the Elderlings, Robin Hobb's world, which is very specific and very interesting in terms of the magic system, the different geography of the place, different lands, different people, different ideas, and different systems of thought. So if you want to really get to explore a vast universe with different kinds of people, different kinds of thinking and ways of living life, this is a series for you. Now, this is fantasy. I wouldn't say it's like epic uber fantasy, like, you know, there are dragons and there's magic and there's, you know, undeniably a fantasy vibe to it, but it's lighter than some other types of fantasy. This is more focused on characters, on the interactions between the characters, and it's also very much about nature. It's very much about the world. More on that later. It is a long series. It's 16 books long, and there's one novella and a collection of short stories, I believe, which I have not read. I have read the novella, haven't read the short story collection, but the main series is 16 books long, divided in different series. There's essentially 4 trilogies and 1 quartet. Now, my overall feeling after completing this series for the first time, and I say first time because I know I will be rereading this series eventually, my overall concluding feeling right now is satisfaction. I feel so grateful and satisfied with this series. Let me tell you, it's an imperfect series. There are some peaks and there are some valleys, which I will warn you about in this video in a few seconds, but it's just such an imperfect but satisfying, gratifying and joyous experience of reading for me. It's unique, it's original, it's unique, it's heartfelt, and it's one of those series where there are certain books that I certainly didn't enjoy as much. There are certain important mistakes and flaws in Robin Hobb's writing specifically, and still it has earned such an important place in my heart. I am filled with gratitude with Robin Hobb and with The Realm of the Elderlings. So 16 books in a series, that can be pretty intimidating. Where do you even start? What's the best entry point to the series? Well, I read these books in the actual publication order, and I think that's the best way to go. I genuinely have thought quite extensively about this issue. Like, some people will tell you different things according to their own experiences. Some people say if you only want to read one trilogy, just go with the Live Ship Traders. Some people only read the original Farseer trilogy. Some people only read the Rainwild Chronicles. some of the other series, you can only really enjoy them and understand them if you have read everything prior to them. But there are three trilogies that people say that you can read individually. Personally, I strongly recommend and advise that it's worth the investment. It really is worth the investment to just read all 16 books. You can do it the way that I did it. I distributed this experience throughout 3 years of my life, and I am so grateful because, you know, these books have really been with me for 3 years. And so when I got to the ending, I was like, oh, I was so elevated, you know? So this is the publication order, and I think it's the best reading order. The first trilogy is the Farseer trilogy, following the character of Fitz in a place of the land that is called the Six Duchies, specifically Buckkeep Castle. So we have Assassin's Apprentice, Royal Assassin, and Assassin's Quest. Then the second trilogy shifts from perspective. We have different points of view, so it's more like Game of Thrones, where you have different characters and you follow their perspectives in each chapter. So it's very refreshing to read these books after the Farseer books, which are following just one point of view character of Fitz. And also we get a different flavor of the land. We get a different system of philosophy, religion, economic system. There's different, it's like a different universe almost. And so this is the Lifeship Traders trilogy, which many people say it's the best one in the series. And we have Ship of Magic, The Mad Ship, and Ship of Destiny. Then we get the third trilogy, which follows the same characters from the first trilogy. So Fitz and the Fool and all of those characters, and it's the Tawny Man trilogy. And this is a series that you really can only enjoy if you have read the Farseer trilogy. And it's Fool's Errand, The Golden Fool, and Fool's Fate. Then after that, we have the Quartet. The Quartet, many people, and I agree, say that it's the weakest entry in the series, and it really is. But it's still pretty good. More on that later. And this is the Rain Wild Chronicles, which is the Quartet. And this follows some characters from the Lifeship Traders trilogy, but it also features mostly new characters. This is Dragon Keeper, Dragon Haven, City of Dragons, and Blood of Dragons. And then finally, the last trilogy, which is the Fitz and the Fool trilogy, which is really the conclusion and where everything interconnects. So in order to get to the final trilogy, you really have to read everything prior to this. Otherwise, it's just not worth it. It's going to be not a good experience, and you will probably not really get everything. So this is Fool's Assassin, Fool's Quest, and Assassin's Fate. I really recommend the Realm of the Elderlings books because not only are they entertaining and good fun and just delicious to experience, but they are also very literary in terms of the themes that they explore and the way through which those themes are explored. For example, I think the main themes that are explored in the series are duty, what your duty is in life and how you must sacrifice certain areas and certain things in life in order to really do what you are meant to do and find your purpose. Sacrifice is a big theme. Family and bonding, different kinds of bonding, different ways of connecting and relating to one another. Also, there's this natural part, a natural theme in these books. I think it's prevalent throughout the entire series. These books deal heavily with the natural world and dragons, of course, but the way that people connect to the land and nature and animals and just the entire ecosystem. It's so interesting in that way, especially when you get to the Rainwild Chronicles and the final trilogy. You really get this feeling that these books are very much about the connection between people and their land and the history of the land. It's wonderful to explore those themes in a fantasy novel, in a fantasy setting. Now, what are the biggest strengths that I find in the realm of the Elderlings? Well, first of all, the writing style. I love writing style. As a reader, I think writing style for me is the most important thing. You can have a wonderful story, but if your writing style is not right for me, I will not enjoy it. And here, let me tell you, Robin Hobb has such a beautiful writing style. Her choice of words is so musical, melodic, precise, specific. She has certain lines throughout the series that just like pierce your heart with their incisiveness and their precision and specificity. Another big strength is, of course, the characters. There are so many characters. I mean, reading these books for 3 years, it's like getting characters that have been with me for 3 years, and you really get to know them. They are complex characters, realistic characters, most of them. And you just really get to see their interactions throughout the years. By the way, I haven't mentioned, but this is a series that takes its time. You know, there are some stretches of time between trilogies and series, and so you really get to experience the characters throughout their lives in many cases, and that's a joy. Another thing that I really love about the realm of the Elderlings is the magic system itself. So the fantasy elements of this series are so unique and so simple in a way. The dragons and the connection to the history of the world, all of that is tied into the fantasy elements. I don't want to spoil anything, so I don't want to give you a lot of specific information, but everything that I mentioned in the themes has to do with the magic system itself. Also, this is a series where you really get to explore a universe. If you really want to get immersed in a world and get a feeling for, you know, like exploring different lands of a universe and different people within the universe and all of their traditions and the way that they deal with things, this is a very good series for you because you really get immersed in a vast world that you get to explore. And finally, the biggest strength, I think, for me in these books is the emotional value. The emotional impact when you get to the ending of these books is just, it's so rewarding. It's unlike pretty much everything or anything that I had read previously. 16 books with these characters, that has to amount to something, and it does. So those are the strengths. Now let's talk briefly about the weaknesses or the shortcomings. Essentially, I would just summarize it briefly. I think Robin Hobb has a problem with editing. Her editor is not doing their job, or I don't know what the problem is, but most of these books could be edited down, they could be trimmed down, they could be shorter, they could be more concise and more neatly packed or packaged, if that makes any sense to you. Sometimes the pacing of the books can be a little hindered because of the problems with the writing. And I will also say that there are some characters throughout the series that I didn't really love as much, or maybe they were not written with a lot of care or thought. There's one character in particular that I'm thinking about when I say this, and that is the character of Molly. She's a very important character, and in the first trilogy, I didn't really like her at all. And then in the final trilogy, she becomes a very important character, and I really loved her in that trilogy, but I didn't feel like it was the same character. So there was like a disconnect right there. But other than that, these books are imperfect in pacing and writing sometimes, but they are so worth it. Now, before I go, I want to do a ranking of these books, which I think is totally unfair and totally impossible to do, but I will try to do it anyway because I love rankings. I love ranking things, and let's try. So, firstly, let's rank sub-series within the realm of the Elderlings. I think undeniably the best trilogy as a trilogy, so the best like individual package has to be the Life Ship Traders. It's true. It's such a great series. In second place, I put the Fitz and the Fool trilogy, which is the final trilogy. It's such an emotional, action-packed, and it's filled with great moments where everything sort of intertwines and interconnects, and there's a lot of conclusion for different things in all of these 16 books. So it is a special, very special trilogy. Then in third place, I am ranking the Tawny Man trilogy, which is so ridiculously good. Then in fourth place, the original Farseer trilogy. This was a very good entry point into the series. My only problem was the third book is the worst book in the entire series. It's very bad, although there are some good moments in it. Actually, there's both great and not so great moments in all of these books, but Assassin's Quest was the only one where I was very frustrated, like ridiculously frustrated. And then finally, in the fifth spot is the Rainwald Chronicles. These books are just not as great, not as polished as the rest, and it almost feels at times like they were written by a different author, or the same author but in a different point in their development in a way. Now, I also tried to rank the books individually, and that was impossible. It was very hard, but I did come up with my top 5 books in the realm of the Elderlings and my bottom 4. I have 4 books that were irritating, frustrating, meandering, weirdly paced, badly executed, good ideas, bad execution. And those 4 books, the 4 bottom books are Dragon Keeper, Dragon Haven, Fool's Quest, which has some really great ideas but very weird execution, and the worst one, like the bottom, the really bad book in the series was Assassin's Quest. Oh man, I just wish this book could be rewritten. So those are the 4 books that no. Now the top 5 books. Number 5, Fool's Assassin. What a delight. Just a perfect book. Number 4, The Mad Ship. Holy Mother of Jesus, this book. Number 3, Ship of Magic. This book is one of the best introductions to any fantasy series or any series in general that I've ever read. This book is flawless. Number 2, Assassin's Fate, the final book in the trilogy. This book did some really weird things that I really loved. There are a lot of contrivances and plot conveniences maybe towards the ending, but I was honestly so forgiving because I was just like getting hit by a wave of emotions. I couldn't stop crying. The ending of this book completely tore me to shreds. I was a piece of garbage in the floor, just crying, and oh, it was great. And the best book that Robin Hobb has written is Fool's Fate. This book, honestly, when I was reading this book, I was just like, how is this so good? How is this so good? And I hadn't read this until now. This book is mysterious, action-packed, it's frightening, it's terrifying, it's uplifting, it makes you happy, it makes you sad, it expands on the world, it gives you such a wonderful climax in a different, faraway land. This book is perfection. I mean, these two really are like both of the fates, Assassin's Fate and Fool's Fate, two fates, they are the highlights of the realm of the Elderlings for me. But anyway, that's my recommendation video for you today, The Realm of the Elderlings by Robin Hobb. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed the series. If you haven't read the series, why? And if you have read this series, let me know. Just keep your comments down below spoiler free in case people are watching and people are reading those comments without having read them, the books. Or if you are going to include spoilers, just, you know, give a heads up to people. Anyway, I am just one reader. Thanks for watching. I will see you on the next video.